Hi and welcome to Book Chat. My name is Maggie Hubling and I'm a junior at Fort Collins High School. I'm here with Jes Dory. She's the author of Isle. Jess, would you like to talk a little bit about your book?
Sure. So Isle is about a 17-year-old girl named Eleanor Stone, and it's a coming-of-age book basically where her whole life she's displaced. She moves around with her aunt, and so if you have sort of any experience of really moving around a lot, which I've kind of run into quite a few readers who do have that experience and can relate to her, it's pretty interesting. And then she gets moved to these islands off of the coast of Maine where she tends to find out she has abilities and sees an evil that could possibly destroy mankind.
So you mentioned earlier that this is an indie novel, and I also heard that this was your first book. So do you mind talking a little bit about the process of writing your first book and publishing it and just everything that goes along with that?
That's a loaded question. So, so the writing process, I know that there's a lot of creative writing processes and different ways that you can go about writing your own novel, book, whatever. So I think there's more structural. I'm just sort of go with the flow. So my first chapter that I wrote is chapter 7. And then from there, kind of expanded and grew in different various ways. You know, I think everyone's creative process is different. It depends on how you flow and how you can find that zone of writing for yourself. Other than that, I decided to go the independent route to start because I just wanted to get my work out there. You know, I wanted to get my work out there. I wanted to kind of learn a lot about the industry. So when you become an independent author, you tend to wear a lot more hats than you do traditional. Not that you don't have to hold yourself accountable for also doing marketing, but you have to get your hands in sort of everything.
So looking back on it now, would you still decide to go the indie route instead of the traditional one?
I think that both are great. I'm not saying independent's better than traditional. I'm actually right now possibly in the process of moving to traditional for the second. Well, the whole series will become traditional, but that's in the works, so we will see. But until then, I think that to publish an independent book, I mean, you really have to have a little bit thick skin because you got to get ready to do all this work, and it needs to be really self-driven because it totally depends on you how far you want to take it.
And you've obviously come very far because I've read a lot of really good reviews and I've seen a lot of press on the book actually.
It's been a lot of fun, and I think that's where you sort of, as an independent author, you have to be careful because I'll fall into the love of marketing my book, but then the product itself, I have to work on book 2, and so book 2 has to come out, and then I have to put this aside, and so you have to find a balancing act that works.
You mentioned having to be really time-wise and having to really manage what you do. And so one of the questions I had was, what are some of the best ways that you found to help manage your time and make sure that you keep everything on track, especially with like your writing and then the publication process and then just trying to keep your book out there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a list person, so I write lists. I also have a toddler. So I'm also a mom, and I have to do the mom schedule and the writing schedule, and then the marketing schedule. So I kind of hold myself accountable by writing everything down and having deadlines. I'm a goal-driven person, so I want to have a certain chapter done by this date or a certain word count. So I'm a fan of having a word count deadline. So for my second book, for example, I think the first book was slightly different. The second book, I had like a 1,500 to 2,000 word count a day. So that kind of helps things move along, and again, holding yourself accountable is really the best way to do it. Also having someone who can remind you.
Do you find it better to get the words down on the page and then edit later, or come up with the ideas and like actually plan out the entire plot and then write it out?
So I was mentioning earlier, it's just kind of finding that flow, and for me, it's just writing. And I actually write in long form and then put it into the computer. So I have pages of where I'm writing out. I'm writing the whole novel down because for me to write with my pencil is a lot faster than to continue looking at my Word document and I have to change something here and that word I totally misspelled.
It's just distracting.
Yeah, it's hard. The editing process can be really distracting in that sense. Yeah, so I kind of just I handwrite first.
That's about all the time that I have right now, but stay tuned and you'll be able to see Jes talk with my friend Tate. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Maggie. I'm Tate, and I'm a junior from Fort Collins High School, and now it's my turn to ask Jes Dory some questions. Okay, so first of all, obviously writing a novel took a lot of editing, a lot of endurance. How did you deal with like writer's block and getting stuck on certain parts of the story?
Okay, so I mean, my method for getting over writer's block is to keep writing. I mean, even if you write 100 pages and to you it's crap and you throw it out, it's getting kind of through that process. I feel that when you write, you do eventually something will break through. So for me, it is to write. If that's not working, like don't force yourself. I go outside, take breaks. Yeah. I enjoy coffee. So those are my outlets when I do have writer's block. I also find inspiration in other people's work. Sort of push me forward.
All right, so I know that at school in English class stuff, we have to do a lot of writing, and some people like me really enjoy just like the creative aspect of writing. So what advice would you give to those students who are thinking about taking writing beyond school and into publishing or just writing for fun?
I mean, my advice is always to keep writing, and to also remember, and this isn't, it's absolutely not a negative comment, but remember that you can't write for everyone. Right, so you're going to end up finding your niche of readers. But feedback, I think, is hands down the most important thing when you're becoming an author. That's what you want to do. And it's a process. It's a huge process. It's not easy to publish your book, and it's not easy to put your work out there in general. Yeah. Because it's open and subject. You're open to everyone's opinions.
Yeah, you're just giving it out to the world to say whatever.
Absolutely. So to kind of take that with a grain of salt. And also, I mean, and to really write for yourself. So what you love to write, what you're passionate about, is probably what's going to stand out the strongest.
Yeah.
Instead of going, well, I should be like this person and I should write in this genre because it's popular. No. Do what you want to be doing, because when you're adding passion behind it as fuel, then it's a whole different level of work.
Yeah. So obviously, like you've talked a little bit about how you've been like theater and you love to illustrate. How do you feel like all your other interests kind of work their way into your writing? How do you feel like they kind of inspire your writing, do you think?
They inspire my writing in the sense that I'm a really visual person. So I'm huge with Pinterest in the sense I actually have a board completely dedicated to Isle where you'll see it's all imagery that you can almost visualize the book. Yeah. And so I'm really big with visualization. I'm really big with, like I talked about earlier, I get a lot of inspiration from specific directors with how they film, with film noir styles, with all these cinematic effects. And so I know that I've had a few reviews that kind of talk about that it does have a cinematic feeling, the book, which is kind of cool, which is what I wanted. So yeah, I think being an illustrator and also just pulling from a lot of visualization, I think everything is wrapped up into the fact that it's a complete projection of my visual, creativity.
All right, thanks for answering my questions, Jes.
Absolutely.
All right, now we're gonna go get Maggie back up here and we're gonna do a lightning round. We're gonna ask Jes some rapid fire fun questions.
Okay, so now we're going to start the lightning round. Can we get 60 seconds on the clock?
Oh my goodness.
And go. Okay, so what's your favorite book?
Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows.
What is the book world you would want to live in?
A Game of Thrones book series.
What's your favorite breakfast cereal?
Honey Nut Cheerios.
What fictional character would you choose for the zombie apocalypse?
Katniss Everdeen.
Best movie.
Best movie. Inception.
Tumblr or Twitter?
Twitter.
Apple or Samsung?
Apple.
Black Friday or April Fools?
Oh, April Fools, because I don't like Black Friday.
Best book ever?
Best book ever?
Book cover.
Book cover. My book? Isle?
Digital or paperback?
Paperback. It smells better.
What would you be?
Oh, a slotted spoon.
Okay, you just made it.
I couldn't read the handwriting. I panicked.
A really bad handwriting.
A slotted spoon.
Thank you guys for joining us here today at the Harmony Library, which is a branch of the Poudre River Public Library District. It was really a pleasure to be here with you guys today, especially you Jes. Really, thank you for coming in and spending your time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
It was a pleasure for us too.
We'll see you next time on Book Chat.